Now? Okay, I'm Ellison. I'm 25 this year. I'm a freelance theatre practitioner. I've been working in this industry for about 3 years now, and I mainly act and write. Yeah, that's it.
僕同い年ですね。
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. That's nice to know. Oh, yay.
けどポットラックプロダクションズの戯曲がまあ割と長さのあるとか、その1プロダクションだけで成立するような戯曲としては初めてですか？
I actually started performing, right? Way back in the industry in 2011. Yeah. So I think my first full-length play was titled For Friends.
For Friends.
Yeah, it was by a company called This Collective.
Wrote? Or?
No, I acted in it. The one I wrote, my first full-length play, which was eventually stage read, was a play called The Big Hero. It was a play in Mandarin.
ビッグヒーローはマンダリンで書いたっていうふうに言ってましたけど、その英語で書いてる他の戯曲と、そのビッグヒーローだとか、あと他にもマンダリンでも、書いてるんだと思うんだけど、書けることに何か違いとかはありますか？
Of course. Big Hero was set in 1940s Singapore. Yeah, so that was one of the main reasons why I picked Mandarin as a medium. And a lot of the language, the meaning of which would have been lost if I wrote it in English. And I'm quite sure even now, as we're having this interview, when you're translating, like lots of meanings would be lost as well. Yeah, so, and I think it became even more obvious when it gets very personal. When the character says something really personal, it's just different. When I mean, I have translated it into English for the subtitles, and when I was reading the subtitles, I knew that the feelings that come from the text is gone. Yeah, when I translate it over to English. And of course also because I was brought up speaking Mandarin, so I've always felt that I'm more comfortable with that language. And I think the Chinese language has, to me at least, it's more personal.
でも、中国語のっていうかそのマンダリンの戯曲を書くことを中心にしていこうとかっていうふうにはあまり思わない。
I never consciously pick to write in either language. It was always the characters as well as the universe that spoke for itself. I think I think the Chinese language is a lost art in Singapore. I think more and more young people nowadays don't really have a good grasp of the language. And I think that's why I find it's important to write Chinese plays. That's one of the reasons why. When I write in English, it's because the character informs me about it, and I choose to write it in that way. But I find that many a time, English is just a language to inform. It's used to communicate, you know, just communicate information across. I think there's no personal touch to it. So even when I write in English, it's always Singaporean English, because I find that we have to, or I have to write something that's relatable to people. And as of now, because I'm so young, I feel that I'm writing more for the local audience. Yeah.
キャラクターとか時代背景によって変えてる理由
をもし話してくれるんだったら。
Yeah, it's always more about the climate that the characters are in. In Big Hero, they were studying in a Chinese school, and they were brought up speaking Mandarin. In my head, that's why they spoke Mandarin. And they were also one of the characters. He was born in a family who did opera, Chinese opera, and so they would speak Mandarin. So that's how that came about. The story spans about 60 years, from 1940s when the war happened all the way to 2004. So in present day, in 2004, the characters also spoke English because I wanted, it was just my thing. I just wanted someone who at that time could speak good Mandarin, and I wanted to show people that it's possible. Chinese is a language that should not be forgotten. Yeah, so that was that. For Potluck Productions, when we did Muah and the Eulogy Project, it was set in present day, like 2014. And the climate now is that people, I feel, don't take learning the language seriously. It might be because of the education system here in Singapore. We have to learn 2 languages, and it makes learning even one language harder than before. And so Muah is a very pedestrian character. She's someone whom you know, someone who just sells a snack at the local market. She's just someone you would just glance past, and so to me she had to speak very Singaporean English, and it has to do with how she was brought up, and therefore her parents, her mom also spoke Singaporean English. And because she's like that, so she has never really ventured out, you know. She was just always at a pasar malam, at a market, and so people she meet are all like her, you know. They speak Singaporean English, a language that they are very comfortable with, and that's how I feel the characters always inform me of their language choices. Yeah, and I think that it's always I don't know whether like the Japanese, do you have like a Japanese English, Japlish kind of thing?
We have our
dialect. Yeah. So in Singapore we have Chinese, we have Singaporean Chinese, we have English, we have Singaporean English, we have our dialects, and we have so many dialects. And I think that's what makes us so unique, and that is our identity. And I would love to write works that represent every community, but because I'm so young, right? I can only write what I know, which are maybe 5. I'm not very good in my dialect. My dialect is Hokkien. I can't write in Japanese. So predominantly the people that I'm interested in for now, and that I know I can write for, are people like that.
そうだとして、というか現実がそうだとしてっていうかそうなんだろうけど、なぜ演劇でもそのようにするのか。なんか全然違う組み合わせとかで作るということとかはしないで、してるカンパニーもあるのかもしれないけど、比較的自然なものを作ろうとするのはなぜなのか。
Whenever wow, this is a very long story. When I first started writing, that was when I was 15. My first play was about a girl who didn't want to go home. So when I was 17, my second play was about friends who fell out. And it's always been drawing from things that I know, people that I know, things I have felt. And that has always informed me of the characters that I created. And again, so it's back to how I'm a very young writer. I find that as of now, because I need mentoring, I need guidance, I don't really dare to venture out into that yet. So for the Eulogy Project, I experimented with it a little more because it was a company that we started up ourselves. And so I felt that I could experiment. So in that production, I wrote a character which was just out of this world. He was called Dr. Love, and he's very wacky and he's fun, but underneath that wacky and that fun, there was also a lot of truth in what he says, even though he expresses it in another way. And then also for the central character, Mochime, I gave her moments where she would think with like absolute clarity, you know. I always think that everyone is actually really smart and everyone actually has the ability to think beyond what their brain capacity is, but some people just don't use that. And I wanted her to be more than that. So I wrote a segment especially to show that. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Mochime came to me about 3 months ago with a sense of unprecedented urgency. She said she needed to find love. She said she needed to find love fast. 3 months later, Mochi's soul, her mum, came to me with a similar sense of unprecedented urgency. She needed someone to deliver a eulogy for for her daughter's funeral. The world is a strange and funny place.
Do they clean the furnace before they put Papa in?
Don't know.
Do you think his bones will mix with other people's bones?
Maybe.
What happens after this?
We go to the temple. Then got the rituals.
Okay.
Next time when I die, don't need to be so complicated. Don't need to take up so much space. Don't need rituals. Don't need anything. Die already means die already. Understand?
I've lived for 360 months, or 10,800 days, or 259,200 hours, or 15,552,000 minutes. If I were making mochi since I was born, I would have made 1,555,200 batches. I didn't make mochi since I was born. But since I was born, I had diabetes. And so, 4 times a day, at 9 a.m., 9 a.m., 12:30 p.m., 6:30 p.m., I inject myself. My day would look like this. Mix, sugar, inject, repeat. Thank you for coming into my life. Now, my day is mix, sugar, inject, love, repeat.
じゃあその戯曲で、今までやったことないことをやってみたっていうふうに言ってたけど、それを書いた時はその上演されてる状況みたいなのを具体的にイメージしながら書いてるのか。
Okay, so when the starting point of the Eulogy Project was when one of our collaborators, her name is Tan Ting, she wanted us to write our own eulogies. So that was the first point. From there on, we did other writing exercises, improvisation exercises, and then I took it all in, we videoed the whole process, and then I collated everything and I put it together, and I looked at it and I picked up what I liked. So that was that. The thing about me is that I don't like a lot of things, so it was easy to just chuck those that I didn't like. And some things really stood out for me. So from all these things, it felt like there was one person, one central character. And then Mochi Make happened. So I didn't start writing with her in mind. At first, she was just someone who ate porridge, someone who likes Singh, this Mediacorp celebrity. And then slowly, after the next phase where we did improvisation exercises again, the character started getting stronger, and then that's when I knew I could find her voice, and then that's when I finally wrote it down.
ポットラックプロダクションズのメンバーはどういうモチベーションで集まってる人たちなんですか？
What kind of people? People who like each other. When In a Decade was formed, it was clear from the start that we were all very different. When I say different, I don't mean the skill sets we have. You know, it's not saying that, oh, someone's better at writing, someone's better at acting. No, it's not that. It's just how we would approach something differently. And so we had 10 very, very different perspectives. Out of which a few of us came out and set up Potluck. And I think from these different perspectives, our sole motivation was that we wanted to share. We wanted to share something very close to our hearts. And something that's very close to our heart has to first affect us in a way. We would have to feel that something has to be told. For example, the Eulogy Project. How do you approach something as sensitive as death? You know, it's something that a lot of people avoid. And so I think it was kind of interesting because the birth of Potluck came when we were exploring death. And we thought there was a very nice contrast.
Eulogy Projectは1って打ってありますけど、なんかこう今後どういうふうに展開するみたいなのをもう話したりしてるんですか？
We are supposed to have a meeting, but we haven't had concrete plans for it yet. Yeah.
なんか考えてることとか、そのやって思ったこととかってありますか？エリソンが。
The Eulogy Project was very much inspired by my grandmother, who passed away this year. Realistically speaking, we had a deadline. We had to do a show because we had to do a show, right? And the truth is, there will never be any show that you have done, at least for me. There will never be one show that is exactly how I wanted it to be. And I think that's important to know as an artist because you always have to explore and find out, why did you do it this way? Why not the other way? So on. But I think the stake for me in the Eulogy Project was exceptionally great because it was our first production as a company. I invested a lot of myself into it. So how do I think I did for this project? I know for sure I put a lot of heart into it. and it's always very difficult when something gets so personal. And of course, if I could, I would wish that we had more time. But time is a luxury that we all cannot afford. So if you were to ask me if I could do this again, I would. But then again, for every other production, I would do it again because every process gives you something different.